Are the political parties in trouble? If you look at what is happening, the Electoral Act, which is one of the areas that we will touch on, has pointed or change the dynamics of things as to those who will be delegates into the into the party primaries, which then means that there must be some congresses that will determine those who will be delegates to the political parties primaries. Now, APC and PDP, we understand 28 and 29, PDP will hold its primaries here in Abuja. Someone like Chief Bode George is already saying, look, there will be a logistic problem because the APC is holding theirs on the 30th of May and the 1st of June. It does look to me that trouble might be brewing. And tonight, that's where we've gotten the national chairman of the Interparty Advisory Council, Engineer Yaba Gisani, and a lawyer, the executive director of YIAGA Africa, Mr. Samson Itodo. Both of them will be giving us perspective. Samson is also an election observer. So in all of this, election is not an end, it's actually a process. So we are already in the election season. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for coming. Are the political parties in trouble, Engineer Sani?
We are worried.
You are not in trouble?
We are very worried.
You're under pressure?
We're under pressure because of the fact that this Electoral Act, which is the ground, well, you can say it's the ground norm because it is from the Constitution itself, so it has the same weight as the Constitution of the country. And
as far as elections are concerned,
if you do anything that is not in line with the letter of the electoral law, you are in trouble because there are people there that are just waiting for any slightest chance to approach the court and then create a necessary crisis, some for their own interest and then some for maybe some artistic reasons. But the issue is why the political parties are asking for a slight adjustment to the timetable. It's not because we are not aware of the pressure that INEC is under, because INEC, as we have all witnessed, is really, really doing a lot in terms of ensuring that we have an election that is credible, reliable, all-inclusive, and then free of all the incumbencies that we have had before this time. So we commend INEC for what they are doing. But we also want INEC to understand the fact that we are like the chicken and the egg, in the sense that without political parties, there cannot be INEC, really. And without INEC, perhaps, you can't have political parties, even though there are some countries that you don't have this kind of, micromanaging of electoral process as we are having it in this country, which is okay. And as far as the issue, the process is concerned, but the issue is that there are consequences, not only in terms of people taking you to court. The electoral law says that if any political party submits a name of a candidate, that submit documents that are false, that political party is going to be liable. The national chairman of that party, the secretary, the national secretary, the party will be fined about 10 million naira if you are found guilty. And not only that, you have a situation where the electoral law itself, is still undergoing some, amendments. We have witnessed one last week. National Assembly had to rush, to see how they can tidy up the whole thing. So the point we are making, this is the first time we are putting this electoral law to test. And we are saying that being a social, it's a process. It's not a mechanistic thing that this is what I want to do. You just move this one from here and put it here. No, there are logistical issues.
Yeah, I'm one of those who have said in this program that I'm not a prophet of doom, but I've said that political parties will fall into trouble with the Electoral Act. It's the first time we're testing it. There are a lot of changes. There are a lot of dynamics that we have not experienced before. And a lot of the political parties are not used to it. This is the first election cycle that this will be put to test. And perhaps that's what I said a few months ago is coming to pass now. Political parties are now saying that they are going into trouble. I hate to find myself to say, oh, I said it. But the question here is, you are the political parties, which you lead the umbrella body, are like students who are writing examination. And in the middle of examination, you say, oh, wait, you have to change the date of the examination.
No, the exam hasn't started.
You're changing...
the exam hasn't started. The process...
Elections are, they're not an event. There is a process.
Exactly.
So as soon as the umpire blew its whistle,
Yes.
It has started.
Yes.
You are
No,
being
it's
judged
like,
from day one.
yeah, from day one, I agreed.
So the
Once
examination
they
has
announce the
started.
date and everything, you can
It has
say,
started.
yeah, it has. But the
So you
actual,
want to change the rule in the middle of the game.
the actual elections have not started yet. And again, Constitution has a provision, for this. 180 days before the date fixed for the election, you have to submit, your candidates' names and all the things
Constitution
required.
gives INEC the power
180
to
days.
set up. No, the Constitution gives the power to INEC to draft the guidelines for every election.
Exactly.
And they start with you, didn't they?
Exactly.
They start with you. They had meetings with you before they came out with the timetable.
They had meetings with us they had meetings with us, asking us to come and take a look at this. This is what we want to do. And believe you me, the meetings we had was a meeting that was based on whether or not the electoral, amendment itself was going to be, signed into law was given accent by Mr. President. If you remember, there was filibustering going on at National Assembly, and Mr. President also was sending it back to them to go back to this one. So nobody knew that the act was going to be signed into law because we had our misgivings that, well, who knows? Mr. President may say it wasn't given to him, within the time limit that he can do something about it. Or there are issues that Mr. President can raise. And that will take, until who knows when they will sort it out. So this is why nobody paid the kind of attention you are talking about, to what INEC presented. Because even INEC themselves were not, sure of what was going to happen.
Some of us are not politicians. We are not members of the political parties, but we pay detailed attention to some of these issues. Let me bring my friend Samson Todoe today. You are also a sideliner like myself, and I'm not sure if you were on the program one of the days that I said that the political parties might be in trouble. But do you, for a moment, feel for the political parties, the kind of pressure they are going through, logistical problems that they may be facing right now?
Well, I think the question is not whether you feel for political parties. It's the fact that the political parties are making a dangerous demand that Nigerians should resist. And from the civil society perspective, we have called on the political parties to refrain from making this demand for an extension and respect the powers that the Independent National Electoral Commission has to set timelines. And this request would actually infringe and assault on the independence of the Electoral Commission, because the Commission is bound by law when it issued the timetable for the elections. And all of these processes are clearly articulated in the Electoral Act 2010 and 2022. And so this demand does not bode well for the 2023 elections. And Sheol, INEC published the timetable and schedule for activities on the 26th of February. It's been 3 months since the timetable was published. And the timetable was published pursuant to the signing of that act, which the president signed on the 25th of February at 12:25 p.m. The moment the president assented to that bill, everybody in the world knew that the next round of elections will be governed by the Electoral Act. If the political parties had 90 days, to plan for the primaries, and at this point they are seeking for an extension, I think, one, it is unfair to Nigerians, it is unfair, even to the Electoral Commission, and also unfair to the Electoral Act, because we are protecting the fidelity of the Electoral Act. And there are a few issues. One, the Electoral Act under Section 31 also talks about the final day for the submission of list of candidates. The Act says that the final list of candidates shall be submitted not later than 150 days before the date of an election, and then primaries not later than 180 days. In between, the conduct of the primaries, there are several activities that will take place. One, when the primaries end by June 3rd, the parties are expected to process their nominations. So INEC has prescribed forms, the form EC9A to about E, where the parties will fill in those the particulars of their nominated candidates, and then submit, the forms to INEC. Now, INEC will now have to publish the list. And the law is clear as to the timelines for publication of list. It says 7 days. And so if you check, in about 993 constituencies, those lists will be published. You give the parties time, because the Act also says that where a candidate or a party has nominated a candidate that has presented false information, an aspirant who is a member of the political party can actually challenge that in the court. And the public was stripped of that locus to challenge that. If you check, when all of these processes, the law also provides the date INEC will publish the final list of candidates. So if you check, in between when the parties conclude their primaries to the date of elections, there are several activities that are contingent on the other.
So if you move any attempt, if you move any date, it will step into another.
To shift the date would affect the overall timetable, and we don't want to be boxed into that position.
For a moment, let's give the political parties the benefit of the doubt, just for a moment, and let's analyze whether or not it's worth the effort. The Electoral Act has a new spirit, different from what we've seen before. Now, there are a lot of changes, and I would advise political parties today, free advice, get a team of lawyers to understand, dissect, analyze the Electoral Act. You will fall into the traps that have been embedded into this new law if you don't do that. Do you, for a moment, think that INEC should, because it's a new environment they are playing in, it's a new template that are working with, maybe they should give them some adjustment, just maybe. Do you think so?
In fact, not me as an individual, it's civil society's position that the timetable as published by INEC should be upheld. It should not be altered for any reason whatsoever, for the following reasons. Check, you just said on this show that that there is a conflict of scheduling next week for the primaries.
Yeah.
The parties were given April 3rd to June 3rd. No, April 4th to June 3rd.
That's a month.
Why did the parties wait till the last week, the final week, for the conduct of primaries to schedule all their primaries? It is for a reason. So you should ask the parties, how come they didn't conduct the primaries in April? Why didn't they conduct the primaries at the first week of May? Why do they have to wait until the last week? It tells you a couple of things. That one, the parties are delayed for political reasons, because we know
just to watch
what
themselves.
happens.
What would they do?
And the parties have to explain to Nigerians, why they have to wait. The same parties have reviewed their timetable for elections. How many times have parties written to INEC shifting dates for the conduct of their primaries?
I'm not sure.
So when you talk about
because one of the other issues, I'll bring you in, Engineer Bigisani. One of the issues that I'm not sure we've had a situation where they had to elect delegates before they go into primaries. They always had statutory delegates, and delegates are all cast before they go into primaries. But this time around, they have to conduct the Congress, isn't it? Before you go into the primaries.
No, Sean, all times, parties for delegate elections, parties have always conducted congresses to nominate their candidates. The key question we should ask the parties is, one, there was 3 months between when the act was signed till date, and why do they have to wait until the last minute? It tells you a lot about the party system. So for me, the conversation should be that, yes, this is a new legal regime. Parties need to learn from this, so as they plan for future elections. But INEC should not be asked, to review the timelines, because what happens is it would affect, the elections. And any attempt to alter this timetable is it contradicts and contravenes and does not serve public interest. And Nigerians must actually resist this request by political parties for a shift in time. Keep in mind that the Constitution already provides a time frame for when elections should hold, not earlier than 150 days and not later than 30 days. We have shifted the first date of election. Elections were meant to hold on the 16th or so of February. Now they've been moved to 25th and then March 3rd. So let's not box ourselves
So,
into a tight
into a
time frame,
constitutional problem.
and let's stick to the timetable in the
Let me
interest
bring
of our democracy.
Alaji Yabagisane into the conversation. When you don't have civil society on your side, you know you're in trouble as a political party.
No, no,
So
no, 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 no. Already,
you and your friends in the other 17 political
Samson,
parties, where do you
Samson,
go from here?
No, Samson belongs to the class of the people that have these academic, arguments exercised, for the sake of having some arguments to present, their eloquence and, what have you, of ideas and things like that. But we are talking about practical situations here that affect human beings. We're not talking about some academic arguments that nobody, I think, loves this country more than somebody who forms a political party or who is a member of a political party. You cannot be more compatriots than that individual. How can you be? The point, the picture they are trying to paint is like they against us, as if politicians are something different from Nigerians that Nigeria must resist to.
Isn't the fact, Alaji
So it's not
Yabagisane, that you've had this timetable coming?
Time.
You've had this 3 months before.
No. You see, you are talking about a social process, dynamics process. It's not something that is cast in stone. That you have this one here, we've given it.
Unfortunately, the law is cast in stone.
Yeah, but we are not doing anything. We're not doing anything that is going to affect the law. The law says 180 days to the date fixed for the election. You must submit the names of your candidate. So that INEC will now do whatever they like printing. But today,
you're talking about practicality of things, but you know that submission of name is just one item. There are a lot of activities that precede, that dovetails, and that
we're very much aware of that. In fact, whatever INEC is trying to do,
speaking,
whatever INEC is trying to do, believe you me, they are doing it for the benefits of the political parties, so that we won't have any problems. But we have realized that if trying to solve or to create this luxury of time for political parties, it's not in the interest of political parties, because we call it luxury. Why am I saying it's luxury of time? 6 months, the constitution says, you have created about 10 months. Even for the number of extension we are looking for, you still have 10 clear months.
What is the biggest danger if INEC does not give you your request on the appeal that you've made to INEC?
Oh, the biggest danger is that we'll rush over this thing. Anything that is rushed, definitely are going to make mistakes.
What should INEC be doing right now? What would INEC, we're closing now.
Yes,
so what do you want INEC to do right now?
INEC should do what they have been doing all along. INEC has always been a good partner, to ensure that we have democracy that will be endurable. But if we rush these things and the parties are not able to even select their candidates, in the proper way, we end up with garbage in, garbage out, and you are just creating businesses for lawyers, litigations all over the place, which even INEC themselves will not be happy. INEC has been complaining about litigations, and which in most cases litigations we find in elections are during the primaries.
Unfortunately, your hands are tied by law. The only thing I guess you can do is to beg INEC. But if
we're begging, we're appealing to them, and I know that
you're not on your news. I can't see that.
No.
Your final word, Samson.
I think the position taken by the INEC chairman and INEC is the right position. They have the support of civil society. Yeah. The timetable should not be altered for any reason. We just urge the political parties that we believe they can still go through this process in a democratic way, and it can still produce.
We don't want to create businesses for
please,
lawyers.
The timetable should be maintained in the interest of the credibility of the 2023 elections. Any attempt to compel INEC or put INEC under pressure is an assault to the independence of the commission, which is protected by the Constitution.
What I don't like is political parties repented as if we are foreigners, as if we are not part and parcel of these things, as if the whole thing is not about political parties themselves.
But it's also about the Nigerian people.
If this and we are
the parties exist for the Nigerian people.
For now,
it's not for political parties.
No. Political parties are the agents as recognized by the Constitution. The Constitution does not recognize Nigerians.
But the parties exist for the people.
Exactly.
They don't exist for themselves.
Then listen to the parties then.
No, but the parties had enough time.
INEC is not an island to itself.
The parties had 3 months.
Out of time.
No, it's not a matter of 3 months. We are talking about realities. We're talking about what is better for this
the
country.
die
I think this is an
cast,
opportunity for
gentlemen.
party reforms.
Yeah.
Let's see this as an opportunity for
It's
party
a serious.
reforms.
It's now things are now showing that it's a serious business,
Yeah.
and there must be discipline about timing and obeisance to some of these issues. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for
Thank
coming
you.
tonight.
Always a
Thank
pleasure.
you. Thanks so much, the
Thank you
national
for
chairman
having
of IPAC,
Yeah.
and our friend Samson Itodo, the executive director of YIAGA Africa. Thank you so much for your time. That's our show for today, everyone. Many thanks for watching. I'm Sean Kimale. Bye for now.